The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Ardor SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. We have a great show for you today. From all the way out in San Diego, warm San Diego, California, I have Sanjay Solomon. Sanjay is with Exude Luxury Group, and he specializes in luxury home markets in the San Diego area. Sanjay is one of the most dynamic and thorough real estate professionals in San Diego. He has an extensive background in both international marketing and luxury real estate. Sanjay has quickly become a force in San Diego with an array of clients ranging from first-time home buyers all the way to professional athletes and CEOs. He also possesses the ability to provide a seamless buying and selling experience for each client. Welcome to the show, Sanjay. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, excited. So tell me, we did a little chatting earlier, and then I was doing my due diligence on you, prior to, and I think one of your passions, and we'll get to that here in a minute, but one of your passions is kind of showing maybe first-time home buyers or younger home buyers, really how to get into the market. And you're in a, not just physically with the weather there, but you're in a hot market. San Diego, year over year seems to be an area where, the housing market's pretty hot. Tell me about how you started. How did you get into the business and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a little bit of a funny story how I got into real estate. I was in college. I was playing baseball actually down at Point Loma Nazarene, and I went back home to Colorado to visit family for winter break, and was kind of at a point where I knew baseball was finished. I wasn't going to continue playing, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do as far as finding a career and finding something to make money. And funny enough, my mom is actually a huge fan of the TV show $1 Million Listing, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen. So
yeah,
we watched about 8 seasons of that in the 2 weeks that I was back. And obviously watching that show, it's kind of difficult to not want to go do that. So I figured, hey, let's give it a shot. I've been around real estate for a while. I've always loved architecture and design, so I think I'd be a great fit for this. So I came back to San Diego, started reaching out to people, started going to open houses, just trying to get a feel. I knew nothing about San Diego or real estate really, so it was all brand new to me. So I loved going to the open houses and meeting the agents and just kind of seeing what it was all about. And pretty quickly I figured out that it was something that A, I thought I could be pretty good at, and B, that I would really enjoy doing. And long story short, I was able to connect with a really excellent mentor, Erica, who's still my mentor and partner now, and just basically started like most people do, doing the intern stuff, paperwork and marketing and that kind of deal, and slowly just business, worked my way up, and the rest is history.
Yeah, sounds like a good history thus far. So, you had mentioned, or we had talked about, or I had read that, specifically being successful and working with younger entry points into the market. Nobody's going to tell me today that San Diego is a real low-end market to live in. Everyone knows that San Diego is a wonderful high-end area to live in. And so tell me about that clientele, whether they be young or not. Tell me about that clientele that generally comes into your market and that you're looking for.
Definitely. Yeah. We service a whole range of clients. Like I told you, anywhere from people buying their first home to an investment property to maybe they sold their business and now they want the home on the beach, a place to host the entire family. We've worked with clients from all walks of life. We do specialize in the higher end markets. So a lot of the clientele that we service are, successful professionals, business owners, athletes, that crowd, just because San Diego and the lifestyle that we have tends to attract those kind of people. And really, it's difficult for those people not to want to be in San Diego once they visit. And we find that a lot of people will come to San Diego. Maybe they're not looking for a home here. They're here on vacation. They're just looking. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh, wow, this is sort of a hidden gem, if you will, compared to a lot of the other places in California that people generally look when they think of great weather, beach lifestyle. And I think San Diego is starting to kind of get on the map as far as providing that for these people.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone, any listeners haven't been to San Diego and spent any time there, beautiful place. And I would say, as far as buying property there or living there, it's tough to beat. It really is. I mean, it's a beautiful landscape, nice people. I know I have business relationships with many people in the San Diego area, and every time I visit there, I'm like, why, why don't I live here?
Yeah,
Of course,
it's just very it's
yeah,
very down to earth. It's very mellow. I
very,
think a lot of the other places where you find these people looking, maybe it's Malibu, maybe it's Los Angeles. Those
yeah,
places are a much different culture than San Diego.
for sure.
In San Diego, it's all about the lifestyle. It's laid back, it's easy, it's relaxed living. I like to say that in San Diego, the slogan is billionaires in board shorts, right? You've got people with incredible wealth
Yeah,
that live here, and you never know, just because they don't want you to know. It's not a flashy, extravagant sort of place. It's very laid back, and I think that's why people like San Diego, and that's why I like San Diego. Is it's calm, the energy is great, and it's just it's easy to live here.
yeah, I definitely the term energy. The energy's great, for sure. I've never had it. I'll put it like this: I've been to California a lot over my 52 years, and I've lived there. I lived in Ventura for a long time. Never had a bad trip to San Diego. I mean,
Yeah, it's
that's what
really
I tell
difficult
people.
not to enjoy it.
Yeah, never had I've had bad trips to LA. I'll tell you that right now. And
Yeah,
I like
me too.
LA. Don't get me wrong, but I've had bad trips to LA.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about your past. You come from that athletic background, and so I'm sure you get in contact with a lot of athletes or have that tie-in. Maybe that's just part of it. How are you finding, being? And I'm going to stick on this because you talk about it a little bit. Being a younger agent and cracking into that market. How are you finding those potential clients that are younger? Is it just social media? Is it referrals?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix of everything, right? I think people like to work with people that they like, that they enjoy spending time with on a non-real estate level, right? So
Yeah,
it's just surrounding yourself with those people, and having, that sort of network and that sphere, and really putting yourself in a position to meet these kind of people. I'm a big proponent when people ask me, you're younger, how have you been able to do some of the things that you've done?
yeah,
And I think it all comes down to really focusing on what you want to do. What area do you want to work in? What kind of property do you want to specialize in? And then spending time there, right? So, I mean, if you want to sell homes on the beach, right, go spend time in that neighborhood. Go eat at the restaurants. Go to the happy hours. You're going to meet these kind of people that live in the neighborhood. And I think it's just being out there and putting yourself in a position where you're going to be meeting people. You're not going to meet anybody sitting in your office.
no,
So get out there and
right. That's great. That's
and
great
I think
advice.
it's yeah,
That's great advice. And even, I told you my age already, so this doesn't matter, but I have four sons that are your age. And they're always coming to me for advice, different things. And I'll tell them, you got to get out there, you got to press the palm. We used to call it press the palm. And
mhm,
no matter what it is, even if it is happy hour, if it is the baseball game or whomever, if you had a football team. That's a
I
joke.
wish.
That's a jab, buddy.
I wish we did. Trust me.
I know. That's a different podcast. So, I mean, the bottom line is, yeah, you got to get out there, and it sounds like that's what you're doing. I mean, you pick your target market and you go find them, and you involve yourself with them. It sounds like that's what you're doing. So tell me about being an entrepreneur in the real estate world at where you're at in age wise. I don't need to say, hey, young fella or anything like that, but I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, and anybody that wakes up every day going, oh, I wish I were just a realtor and I could just go out there and sell houses like Sanjay does, and it's so easy. It's not. It's a lot of work. So tell me about your experience being an entrepreneur in that area.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of work. I think people tend to think of real estate agents maybe as a little bit overvalued because I think they watch these shows. You know, they watch the $1 Million
Mhm.
Listing or the Selling Sunset, and
Yeah.
on those shows, it looks like every deal is perfect, cut and dry, copy and paste, big commission check at the end. And I can tell you that's not the reality for for
No.
probably 80% of deals, right?
Right.
So there's a lot more work that goes into being an agent or advisor. As I prefer the term advisor just because I'm not a salesman. I'm not trying to sell people anything.
Sure.
It's just helping people do
Yeah.
what their goals are in real estate. But there's a lot that goes into it, and I think especially as a younger person in the industry, you're always trying to play catch up a little bit, right? Especially in the market that I'm in. There's a lot of agents that have been doing this, that have been selling real estate since the 80s and the 90s before I was
Yeah.
walking. So
Sure.
it's very difficult to break into that market. But I found that it's just consistency, right? It's doing the things that a lot of other people aren't willing to do. And a lot of these agents that are doing all this business, hundreds of millions of dollars a year in transactions, they're not out there trying to actively generate new business. They're not door knocking. They're not cold calling. They're not, handing out cards at happy hour.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that I've been able to break into this market is by targeting the things that they're not doing and doing them very well and doing them consistently at a high level.
And and the reason I say this is, like I said, just having a lot of experience with younger men, that getting into business, are the social groups, the BNIs and Kiwanis groups, are they still prevalent in your area that people get involved with, to network?
Yeah, there's definitely some networking groups out there. Our market is a little bit of a smaller market, being that San Diego is a smaller city, especially some of the coastal areas that we serve. So they're not all that popular, but they're definitely there. And there's definitely some good opportunities to be found joining those and being active in those.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so we've gotten to know you a little bit about how you do business. Tell me about the San Diego market. I mean, tell me about the past couple of years, what's gone on there, and then tell me where you're at right now with homes in the area, price
Definitely.
wise, sales wise.
Definitely. I mean, the past 2 years, as almost any agent can attest to, have been ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, for a good year and a half, it was really a seller's market, a very strong seller's market, especially in an area like San Diego where the demand is just off the charts, and
Right.
inventory will really never catch up to that, especially in the higher end. So we saw a number of record sales in San Diego over the last 2 years. A home in La Jolla traded for 24.7 million, which was a record for the community. A home in Del Mar sold for just north of 45 million, which was another record for the community, all within the last 2 to 3 years. So the
Wow.
market in San Diego was very strong. It still is very strong. We're obviously feeling the effects that most people are. It's slowing down a little bit. We're seeing a decrease in demand. We're seeing supply bump up a little bit. But my take on this is that overall, San Diego is kind of a bubble. It's a destination. It's a place that a lot of people are always going to want to live. There's never
Yeah.
going to be a lack of demand, no matter how expensive it is to live here. There's never going to be people not willing to pay the premium to do that. So while we are feeling some of the effects of the rate hikes and some of the other things that we have going on in the background, I think we're going to stay a little bit more immune to the overall effects of that in other communities, just simply because it's somewhere that people are always going to want to be. There's always going to be
Yeah,
people willing to pay that huge premium to live here and enjoy our lifestyle.
for sure. For sure. I think that's the right attitude to take about it. Whether, interest rates are interest rates, man. I was talking to someone earlier and I said, well, I'm old enough to remember 1984 and 17%. So, and interest rates and people getting mortgages at 17%. So when my son asked me, Dad, is it a good time to buy? And I'm like, you're kidding, right? I mean, that's just such a, it's a qualifier for when we talk to people. I get it. But I also feel like this is still a great sweet spot, and of course you're in a similar, when you said a bubble, sometimes you got to be careful, right? Saying bubble, but
Yeah.
yeah, and as we are here, people always want to move here. People always want to move there. There's always that market, and there's different pickpocket places. I mean, this isn't the Midwest. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. So Now we've talked about a little bit about the past. We've talked about today, kind of where things are. What's the goal? What's the big plan for Sanjay Solomon? I mean, what's the big plan for the next 5 years?
Next 5 years is really just continuing to grow and develop my sphere and my base of business. I've had the opportunity to do pretty well as a young agent in this industry, but my goal is not just to be the average agent and do a handful of sales that are, at whatever price point. My goal really is to cater to the top end of the market and to be one of the best at it. And that takes time, obviously, right? A lot of the agents that are doing that have been in the business for 30, 40 years. I
Right.
don't have, decades of experience yet.
Yeah.
So it's really just trying to focus, put my nose to the grindstone and expedite that process so that I can do a lot of the things that I'd like to do.
There you go. Well, I definitely think, Sanjay, that can be a negative if you've been that 30 or 40-year veteran, because you ever heard, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right?
Hmm.
And if you've been in the business, say you're close to 60 years old and you're in the business still, and a lot of people at that age don't want to be involved in social media. A lot of people at that age don't go out and about as much as they used to, right? So it's sometimes difficult. So being that I sometimes envy that young, fresh, excited, advisor who is like, man, I'm excited to go out and meet people. I'm
Yep.
excited to go out. I'm excited to do something on my site. I'm excited
Yeah.
to do something on social media, and put that out there and put myself out there. And I definitely don't see that as a hindrance to you at all.
I think we're seeing that right now, and
Yeah.
especially in our market, there's a small group of agents who do a lot of the business, and a lot of them have
Mhm.
been doing it for a while. But like you said, I think a lot of these agents, they don't have that kind of that burning fire to build something, to grow
Yeah.
something, to be the best because they've done it for so long, right? They're
Right.
comfortable with where they're at. They're comfortable with the process of doing things, and I think a lot of the clients in our area are starting to want something new. They're starting to want someone that's going to, put everything into, selling their home or finding them a home,
Right.
more than just kind of the basic level that a lot of these agents are doing. And I think there's a few young agents like myself. I'm definitely not the only one that's doing this. We're bringing a new perspective. We're bringing a new energy to our clients and representing them. And I think it's exciting to see. And I think there's definitely a shift going on right now, especially in this kind of higher end coastal market
Nice.
where, there's a lot of new stuff going on, a lot of new agents that are doing very well and doing
That's
things
great.
a new way.
Yeah. I like hearing that. I like hearing that. I mean, it tells me that, the things are still robust, even thousands of miles across the United States. So I like hearing that. So one question, I don't ask this to everybody, so I hope it's not too much of a curveball, but because you do work, and I know you work with a swath of people, age-wise, demographic-wise, so on and so forth. But being younger and maybe talking to that younger person, I guess I'll get straight to it. Are you seeing a big transition of wealth? And when I say that, I mean from the baby boomers, you know, moving maybe back in with their kids, or passing away and leaving an estate. And so you're getting some young folks saying, hey, I don't know how to buy $1 million home, or I don't know how to buy, let's just say, let's start at 700,000 to 5 million. Are you seeing more of that?
Definitely, definitely. It's a much younger crowd that we're servicing now, typically, and a lot of it is, especially in some of these communities that we serve. A lot of it is homes that were passed down from the parents to the
Right.
kids. The kids don't necessarily know what to do with it. They've never sold a home. They've never bought a home.
Exactly.
They're just kind of unsure of what that whole process looks like. And then not all the time is it a normal home. I mean, we've had people where their parents leave them $4 or $5 million homes,
Right.
and they don't want to live there. Their lives are elsewhere. Maybe they live in Florida, they live in New York, they live somewhere
Yeah.
else, and they just don't know what to do with the home. So that's where we step in, and we're obviously able to educate them on what their home is worth, also what the process looks like as far as if they're going to sell it or what they'd like to do with it. But yeah, like you said, a lot of people that are now inheriting stuff that they just have no idea what to do with, or maybe their parents are moving back in with them and they need a bigger home.
Right.
It's a lot of families that are kind of meshing together too, is the other kind of side of this that we've seen, especially during the pandemic. Is families, they need bigger space. They need space for mom, dad. They need a guest house for the grandparents. They need an in-law suite. They need somewhere that the entire family can be together, rather than having everybody in separate places like it was,
Exactly. Yeah.
2019.
Yeah, for sure. Seeing, obviously here being a major retirement area, but I think it's happening everywhere. I mean, it's the demographics of kind of how things are, with baby boomers kind of rotating into that 70 plus, category. And then so many 20 somethings to the mid 30 somethings going, what do I do?
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, it's
I've
not
got
something that you learn in school, how to
not
buy or sell a house, which is unfortunate
right.
because, we are seeing, like you said, we're seeing a younger crowd. I mean, people are making more money than ever at a younger age, just, because of the internet or whatever they're doing now. And they haven't been educated on how to manage that money, especially, when they're purchasing or selling real estate. So that's honestly the fun part of our job is, being able to kind of educate clients on investments, educate them on how to just transact real estate, because that's something that most people have no idea until they get into it, and then sometimes it's a little bit too late.
Good advice, man. I think it's great. Well, Sanjay, it's been great having you on the show. How would someone get in touch with you? Say they're going through that right now, or maybe they're in your area and they're just saying, hey, it's time to start looking at this, and this is a guy I want to talk to.
Absolutely. Social media is just Sanjay Solomon is my Instagram. That's one way to get a hold of me. Facebook's the same. My best number is 720-633-2044. All my contact information is on my website, social media, everything. So it's pretty easy to find me if you're looking.
Fantastic. Sanjay, I appreciate you being on the show today. It's been a joy, man. And really, I keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And hopefully, the housing market will stay where it is, and you'll keep doing well. I'm looking forward
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to talking to you again down the road and seeing how things ended up.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great one, man.
You too.
All right.